You know what drives me kind of wild, but not in a good way? It's when someone says to a whole secondary faculty, "You're all writing teachers." It just drives me wild because it makes it seem like the phys ed teacher now has to do the English language arts teacher's job. The science teacher now has to sidebar science so that they can incorporate this literacy add-on stuff. It's just bad communication. It's not effective. But in this video, I want to argue that you actually are going to be a better, more effective, greater results science teacher, math teacher, phys ed teacher, English teacher, whatever, by incorporating a specific type of writing, provisional writing. In this video, what is provisional writing? Why is it so important? And how to incorporate it into your classroom with low stress and lots of learning. In my book, These 6 Things, How to Focus Your Teaching on the Work That Matters Most, I have 6 things that are really important to understand and use intelligently, particularly as a secondary educator. And one of the 6 things is writing. But I begin the chapter by saying the most important thing that must be understood with writing is that it must support content mastery. There's only one subject in school where writing should be done just for writing's sake, and that is English language arts. In all the other subjects, writing should be done to enhance content mastery because the purpose of history is to grow more historically knowledgeable and capable. It's not to become a writer. When we conceive of writing like this, then the question that we have to ask is, well, what should writing look like in my class? And this is why I came up with the pyramid of writing priorities. Let me get that on the screen for you. This is from page 172 of my book. Well, what I tell teachers when presenting on this is that you start at the bottom. If you're not currently using provisional writing, just focus on that. Forget about the rest of the stuff. Because provisional writing has a few components that are really advantageous. First of all, it's something that can be done as much as every single day, but need not require any teacher grading. Like all writing, it still forces students to think, forces them to differentiate between what they know and what they're just sort of familiar with. It gets them focused, it calms them down, it challenges them. It does all those things that writing does, but since it's provisional, meaning it's for just a simple purpose, we don't have to micro-analyze it for conventions. We don't need to reread and revise. We don't need to have a peer edit it with us. That's stuff that we can do up in the readable or polished tiers of the pyramid of writing priority. Provisional doesn't require that. So to give some practical examples from around the content areas, this is what I've seen teachers do. In a phys ed class, students may write a weekly fitness journal. How active have they been? What active things have they done? Have they learned any new vocabulary words related to physical health or fitness? In a health class, it could be reviewing the previous day's learned material, applying that material to your life, making connections between learned material and people that you know. In science, it could be an exit ticket where you explain using 5 words from the word wall today's most important concept. I once asked a science teacher to imagine doing this. You're introducing a unit and you're asking your students, hey, you all remember photosynthesis? Do you remember that? A lot of your students nod their heads. Some of them just sit there. What information have you just gained? I would argue, not much. But what if instead of just asking that question and looking for heads, you told them to get out a fresh page of their spiral notebook and for the next 60 seconds, write everything that you can think about related to photosynthesis, using as many academic vocabulary terms as you're capable of. Now, you as a science teacher would be able to walk around for the duration of the prompt and see really what do they know. This is immediate formative data that you can now use to inform your next step in the lesson. It's also immediate data to the student indicating whether they do or do not currently know this concept. So those are some examples of provisional writing across the content areas. And that's also kind of why it works. It makes the learned and unlearned obvious to students and you. It forces student thinking. It gets them deepening their understanding of material. It gives you formative assessment data. How do you do it? Well, there's different strokes for different folks, but here's how I do it. Step 1. Every student needs a spiral notebook for my class that has pages remaining in it. In a typical year, my students go through 2 to 4 of these spiral notebooks. So I tell them, stock up during back to school season. They're like 10 cents a pop at our local Meijer. And if you run out, guess what? I do the same thing and stock up, and I'll probably be super generous and give you a 10-cent notebook if you really can't get one yourself. This is money for provisional writing because any time that I on the fly want to ask my kids to do some provisional writing, I can just say, open up a fresh page in your spiral notebook. Here's the prompt. I can have them also do this during warm-ups, which I almost always do, or as an exit ticket. It all goes in here. I do not collect these. These are their responsibility to keep. I tell them what you are creating is a study guide, is a book about this class. So the level of effort and intentionality that you put into this creation is going to be the quality of the resulting product. And basically, you give your students prompts that are designed by you to help them master your material, help them to become the best physical education student that they're possible of becoming, the best music student they're possible of becoming. What's the biggest obstacle you've encountered this week as a practicing musician? Describe the obstacle and list one solution that could be used the next time that you face it. What are you learning about yourself right now as an artist in our art unit? These things make art students more reflective. They make musicians more aware of what does and doesn't help in their practice. We're talking about writing that's helping them learn for your class. That's what provisional writing is. It can be very, very simple, and I promise you, it will be powerful. If you have any questions, colleagues, put them in the comments. Yeah, put them in the comments. And hey, maybe subscribe to the channel. Oh, there's the bell. Guess it's time to go. Cheers.